What is up, guys, and welcome back to GameBird Classic. I just wrapped up a special little indie game that immediately grabbed my attention. A Metroidvania with a dash of Zelda, a sprinkle of Shovel Knight, and a little bit of that Dark Souls flavor. But what really makes this game stand out is a mechanic so unique, the entire experience is built around it. Today, my friends, we're reviewing GigaSword. And without further ado, let's dig right in.
In and out.
For those Slim Jim.
You're watching GameBird Classic.
One more thing. Don't forget to hit that like button and smash that subscription button so you guys can be notified when I upload brand new videos. Take it away. GigaSword is a puzzle-driven action platformer Metroidvania developed by Studio Hybrid and published by Akapara Games. For this review, I played the Nintendo Switch version on my Switch 2, and it ran smoothly throughout the entire playthrough. So let's start with the story. GigaSword opens in the struggling city of Theonheart, where famine and sickness drive its people to a desperate choice. Break into the ancient tower of Nestrium in search of a power said to save them. But their intrusion stirs something that was never meant to be awakened. In this game, you play as Ezra, armed with the colossal Gigasword, and tasked with climbing the tower to set things right. What awaits inside Nestrium remains a mystery, and one you'll have to uncover for yourself. I gotta say, I was shocked to see the amount of story here, and reading packed into this kind of a game. This was an instant plus for me, as it did a really fantastic job of world building and character setup that gets you invested in the adventure right from the start. But now let's jump into the most important part of this review, and that is gameplay. At the heart of GigaSword is its namesake weapon, a blade so oversized it feels pulled straight from Berserk or Final Fantasy VII. This isn't just something you swing around, it's literally the core of every puzzle, every challenge, and every choice that you make as a character in Nestrium. The Gigasword is both your lifeline and your biggest obstacle. It hits hard, but its real purpose is its problem solving. You'll slam it into the ground to hold down pressure plates, jam open mechanisms, trigger switches, and much more throughout your adventure. It's less weapon you carry and more of a like a Swiss Army Buster sword forged by the gods. And movement with the sword is part of the core gameplay as well, because while you're lugging GigaSword around, Ezra is slow, heavy, and every attack feels very deliberate. But the moment you let go, the moment you drop the sword, Ezra becomes a completely different character. He jumps higher, he crawls through tight gaps, and he moves with agility of a thief. A lot of the game's best moments come from the balancing act of deciding when to ditch the sword and how you're going to get it back later and when to keep it and kind of fight through. And they built the puzzle logic around this too, which is really cool. Nearly every puzzle in the tower plays with this push and pull mechanic. Sometimes you'll use the sword's weight to tilt platforms or pin down massive machinery. Other times you'll have to abandon it to take a risky detour through enemies or obstacles and figure out how to reclaim your sword on the other side. It's really cool moment-to-moment gameplay that I've never experienced in an indie game like this before. And as far as exploration goes, Nestrium itself is sprawling. It's an interconnected labyrinth. You'll uncover shortcuts, find new upgrades, and revisit older areas with fresh abilities that completely change how they can be approached. It's that classic Metroidvania structure, but filtered through the unique limitations and possibilities of the Gigasword. One thing I will say, there were a number of times I got lost or just couldn't remember the route back to where I needed to be, and a fast travel system between locations would have been a nice little addition here, but it really never took away from my enjoyment of the game, and I gotta recognize how wonderfully crafted these levels are. It's that classic Metroidvania feel. Now, even though GigaSword looks like it might be a combat-heavy Metroidvania, the game is actually much more focused on puzzles than pure fighting. The combat's there, and it feels good too, but it's never the star of the show. Most encounters are designed to slow you down, make you think, or force you to decide whether dragging that giant sword into a fight is worth it or not. That said, the combat itself is pretty approachable. Regular enemies aren't too tough, and most rooms are more about spacing and timing than mechanical mastery. The real challenge comes from the boss fights, and while a few of them took me several attempts to beat, they never felt cheap or unfair. It's the kind of difficulty where you study the patterns, learn the openings, and get that satisfying aha moment. Almost like a mix between Mega Man, Shovel Knight, and maybe a little touch of Souls with that style of pattern learning. On top of the puzzle-focused gameplay, Gigasword also has a surprisingly engaging progression system. You'll earn an in-game currency by defeating enemies, and that currency can be spent on a skill tree that unlocks some really fun abilities. Things like a self-heal, a magic fireball, or a sword beam when you're at full health, kind of like the Legend of Zelda series, and much more. It's not overly complex, but it adds just enough of that RPG flavor to keep you motivated. Just like the Souls games though, there's a catch. When you die, you drop all of your currency. You get one chance to reclaim it, and if you fail, it's gone for good. Honestly, I loved this system. It added tension, it encouraged smart play, and it made upgrading Ezra feel earned. Plus, I found a pretty solid farming spot early on in the game that helped me snag some of the cooler abilities. Watching Ezra grow stronger over time as well was easily one of my favorite parts of the experience. You got that kind of rags to riches feeling. Now let's dive into the soundtrack because the chiptune music in Gigasword is absolutely fantastic. It captures that nostalgic energy from the glory days of the 8-bit and 16-bit era, the kind of melodies that instantly take you back while still feeling fresh and purposeful. A lot of it actually reminds me of the charm and punch that you'd get from a game like Shovel Knight with the catchy hooks and strong themes, and the tracks fit each location perfectly. Each area has its own identity, and the music does a really great job of reinforcing the atmosphere without ever getting too repetitive. And while it's tough to compete with the classics from that era, Gigasword does a surprisingly great job here. And they didn't just nail it with the music. The pixel art in Gigasword is outstanding. Every character, enemy, and boss is crafted with a level of detail that feels nostalgic, yet sharper and more expressive than anything from that true retro era. Each zone has its own identity with distinct color palettes, familiar themes, and some absolutely beautiful pixel art vistas in the background. There are moments where the environments open into these huge dramatic scenes in the background that just made me stop to take them in. Throughout my entire playthrough, this game kept surprising me with how great it looks. It's packed with memorable visual moments from start to finish. To sum it up, Gigasword is a smart, creative, and thoughtfully designed puzzle action Metroidvania that stands out thanks to one extremely clever mechanic: the sword's weight, the mobility trade-offs, the puzzle design, the exploration. It all ties together beautifully. The soundtrack kicks butt, the visuals shine, and the whole experience feels both fresh and lovingly crafted. If you guys like Metroidvanias, puzzle games, retro visuals, or just trying something new, Gigasword is absolutely worth your time. And with that, I'm awarding Gigasword the GameBird Classic Seal of Approval. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts on Gigasword? Sound off in the comment section below. I want to hear your thoughts. Is this a game that you guys are going to be picking up? And I'll see you all on the next GameBird Classic. Peace.